Hey, what's going on? Hello, Pierce. What's up, Nicholas? Nice to see everybody coming on in. I just posted this up in the cord. This was sort of not expected. I was kind of trying to plan it. It was running late. I said, "Oh, we'll do about an hour and talk a little sports for a little bit." Hey, Max, what is going on? And I am using Streamlabs. So, for those of you gamblers out there, what's up, Ian? Nice to see you, man. That's all right. You can just listen. Listening's good. I appreciate you just popping in here just to hang out. We're gonna just talk a little sports here tonight. Nothing outrageous. Nothing outrageous. So listening is good. Listening is good. And we are, so this is going to be one of the new segments. Instead of doing Touchdown Tuesday, which will return come later on this summer, later on at the end of the summer, once football kind of gets up and rolling. I may even do like a draft special. We will we will see, but definitely going to be bringing back Touchdown Tuesdays once fantasy football comes around. So, but until then, we're going to do a sports segment on Wednesday, and definitely Thursdays, we are going to continue our tradition of Tin Can Thursday. A little adult time, as some of you would call it out there. So, if you have any questions, you can just put them in the chat if you want to chat along. But we are going to start covering some stuff here, right? So we are going to cover just about every type of sport you can think of if y'all bring it up. Did someone say adult time? So we'll probably cover the main ones here from America. We'll probably just sprinkle in some soccer news every now and then. We are not opposed, though, to talking about anything. So you want to talk some tennis, some golf, I don't know, badminton, highlight, bocce ball, you name it. So if they're out there playing it, then we're definitely going to try talking about it. So I would say one of the first things that we're going to address, although I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, of course it's all over the news, is the banning by, what's up, Anthony? The banning of, a lot of, hey, Sam, nice job this week, Sam. Banning of a lot of the Russian sports teams from a lot of the leagues around the world. FIFA, USFA, so the soccer leagues have pretty much thrown them out. The Olympics, they have not stop the Russian teams from competing yet in the Paralympics. But I don't know if it's going to, if they're, because they're toying around the idea of letting them compete, but even if they win, not letting them have a medal. Because of everything that's going on there. The NHL is actually probably where most of the talk, at least here in America, is going on with Ovechkin. So, as I don't know, people may or may not know, Ovechkin for a very long time was a very big Putin supporter. It is well known that in some way, shape, or form, either Putin himself or the Russian government funds him. He's got access to monies available beyond his NHL contract. And, when the whole thing went down, he has been, I would call it, not silent, but he's been very, he doesn't want to go near the subject. So, there's a couple of ways of looking at that, I guess. You would hope somebody that would have his, hey, Carla, his, what's up, coach? His kind of power, gravitas, his kind of throw, in terms of worldly events, would come out and make some sort of a statement. And generally speaking, for the most part, the world is kind of all banding together. Nobody's really standing behind Russia at this point. And he has done anything but that. He's just come out and said, he hopes that everything goes away. Now, while that seems kind of shady, if you really think about it for a minute, it may not be an unwise move, at least on his part. Because, for instance, he probably has family back there. So, what's up, Brian? Thanks for being here, man. So, you know what? He has to walk that fine line of, he doesn't want the government, first of all, unfunding him with whatever kind of funds they're giving him. And secondly, he doesn't want the government picking up his family. And, I'm sure he has assets there. We know he's got a house there and stuff. So, he wants to be able to go back there and not be banned from the country. So, he kind of walks a fine line. With that being said, I think, we can kind of, if you take that and think about it in the greater picture of all of sports, soccer, the Olympics, whatever sport you may think of, baseball, right? I think the idea of not letting them play in terms of politics is probably a shrewd move. It's effective, especially when it comes to a lot of the, upper echelon in Russia. They love their sports. They love watching it. And by taking that away, it kind of puts pressure on them to stop doing what they're doing. At the same time, I also believe it's not the players' fault, right? I mean, generally speaking, what's happening now in the world only comes down to in essence is a handful of people. So these athletes still should get paid. A lot of the ones for the Olympics and some of the soccer teams from Russia, like the one that's now being banned from the World Cup, they should still get paid. They're not the ones that started a war or anything like that. I think to make the statement of not letting them play, sure, you make that statement, but you cannot, and granted, a lot of them are millionaires, so, they're not going to be hurting if you didn't pay them, but, I think a lot of them, you shouldn't really hit their wallet, even though some, not all, some are definitely way well off. But I guess we'll have to see where it goes. Yeah, there's a lot of revenue from soccer in that country, absolutely. So, let me just see. Did I miss anybody? Yeah. So, Yep, absolutely, Coach, 100%. And I think that's that's the greater point. Yeah, don't let him play. That's fine. Puts pressure on him, but let's at least keep him paid. So let's see what else we have going on here in the NHL. So the San Jose Sharks. Hey, Michael, welcome in. The San Jose Sharks seem to be spiraling out of contention and control here after they lost Reamer to an injury and then the loss in Vegas. So it'll be interesting to see how they turn things around. I think the big thing now we got to look at, because we're so far into the NHL season, is actually the trade deadline. Hey, Devora, what is up? The Sabres are tied with the Leafs right now, really. Oh, yeah, 1-1 at the end of the first. Look at that. And actually, the Rangers are up on the Blues 1-0. There's an interesting... there's some interesting guys you can look at out there when it comes to hockey and the trade deadline. The trade deadline is Monday, the 21st, so it's coming up quickly. And I think one of the more interesting trades out there could be Brandon Hegel. So he plays for the Blackhawks. He's young. He's 23 years old. He's having a great year. He's got like 17 goals, 30 points already this year, which is fantastic. And I think he's only played like 45 or 48 games. So he is... no, not November. Mark your calendars. He is something or someone to watch, because he's not really proven yet, but he's having such a great year and he looks to have so much talent. He would be a great trading chip for the Blackhawks to try to rebuild their team, which is something that their general manager has come out and said is that that they're trying to do now. I mean, people keep talking about 3 or 5 years or whatever, but he's trying to do it now and keeping the core players. This is somebody that they could really, really trade, looking down the road in a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, because he is so young, there's not enough data really to see if this is just a blip on the radar or if this production that he's having now is going to be consistent down the stretch, over the course of his career. There's really no way to tell that. So he's got a great shooting percentage. He's shooting like, 21%, which is incredible. But outside of offense, really, he doesn't bring too much value to defense. But his offense is great. He would be probably great, on just about any team. I would love to see him. He'd probably make a really good impact on the Sharks or maybe the Panthers. So he's going to be a guy to keep an eye on. No. So, yep, Pierce, it sure is. So some of the teams that you could consider, believe it or not, is a team that's actually close to him, which would be the Red Wings. They are they're in a situation where they seem to be in contention almost every year for the playoffs, but they're always kind of missing that piece. If they could develop this talent in him, he would, do them justice by giving them a little bit more firepower on offense, which is really what that is lacking, Ian, I am a Bruins fan, 100%, all in on the Bruins. What are some of the other things? Let's see. There's really not too much going on. But some of the just to give you some of the standings right now. So the top three over in the East, you have Carolina, Tampa Bay, and Florida. And actually, so I'll give you the top five. Toronto's 4 and Pittsburgh's 5, which is that's incredible right now. That's absolutely incredible. Unfortunately, my Bruins are 3, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7th right now. So they're in contention for the playoffs. They've definitely made the playoffs. So rounding out the playoffs right now. So if we were going to the playoffs right now, from the East, Carolina, Tampa, Florida, Panthers, Toronto, Pittsburgh Penguins, the Rangers, the Bruins, and Washington. So got some decent teams in there this year. Washington's actually been a really tough team. The co-host has been good. She will hopefully be joining us next week on Wednesdays and hopefully Thursdays. And maybe Saturdays. So she will be returning. I was talking to her today going, I didn't know if this was going to happen or not. But she said, she could, and it was a last minute thing. I threw it at her like literally hours ago. So she had some other stuff she was doing. She said, let's, plan on next week doing the Double Trouble show. So you'll see her next week. Out in the West, your playoffs teams are Colorado, Calgary, St. Louis, Minnesota, LA, Vegas, Nashville, and Edmonton. And so if the seasons were to go into playoffs right now, those are the teams we're looking at. They've all done really well. Actually, Edmonton has actually surprised me. So that's all right, Coach. You'll get your chance. Yeah, Avs, man. The Avs have been incredible this year. So, and we'll keep it moving. I'll spend about 10 minutes in each area, and we'll get going. Unfortunately, there's not much for baseball because they're in a lockout, but what are you going to do, For you NBA fans, and I can tell you next week we will probably start talking March Madness since it's already going. So a lot of stuff that's happening right now in the NBA, they're trying to get through their season. Some of the notable scores around the league right now, Charlotte's up on Cleveland 72-55. The Pacers are over the Magic, currently in the third. The Magic is currently over the Pacers, currently in the third, 76-62. The Knicks and the 76ers are going at it right now, and the Knicks are in the lead 54-42. At the end of what's coming up to the end of the first, the Kings over the Pelicans by 3, 33-30. The Jazz and the Rockets are still in the first, 25-18. Jazz are up. The Bucks are on top of the Heat currently at 34-26. So there's a couple of more games coming up tonight. Thunder and the Nuggets go at it at 9 p.m. Eastern, where we should see the Nuggets completely beat the tar out of the Thunder because Oklahoma is absolutely terrible. The Thunder are absolutely wretched this year. And then at 10 o'clock Eastern is the Blazers, the Trailblazers, and the Suns will be going at it. So, and the Suns should win that game. Should. Yeah, Ian, the Avs are a bunch of fun to watch. So, as I look down what's kind of going on around the league, it looks like, and this is interesting because right now the Pacers are playing and Orlando's beating them, but the Pacers are really, they're being very careful with Chris Duarte. So he was ruled out for tonight because he is injured. He's battling an injury, which he suffered like at this point 2.5, almost 3 weeks ago. He missed the Rising Stars game before. He came back and played on Sunday in a win, and he beat the Celtics, which actually that game was a really good game to watch. Can the triathletes take down? Let's hope so. Let's hope so. But he's there's no timeline. He's re-aggravated. He's re-aggravated the injury. They're hoping to get him back. It'll be interesting to see how the Pacers do without him in that lineup. So they're a solid team when he's in there. He definitely changes the game. He's a good passer. He can get open. He's really good taking shots from the floor. But right now, it doesn't seem like they can get out of their own way. So it's interesting to see how much of a change, that happens. Kevin Durant is supposed to return tomorrow for the Net Heat game tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see if that happens. So at least that's what's on the injury report. Is Zags fan, all right, is he supposed to return? So I don't know. He had a knee injury, so sometimes and he's not a young dude anymore. Kevin Durant's one of the older guys in the league. He's missed 21 games with that knee injury. Man, I don't know. I don't know. Brooklyn went 5-16 without their best player. So, James Harden checked out in the middle of that span. Ben Simmons is still out. Kyrie Irving can't play home games. So, they're kind of a mess. And not having him has been a huge hurt. But if he is really better to make a comeback, I think you could see that team turn around and start winning some games. And maybe, if they can throw something together here, maybe put themselves in a better position for the playoffs. What else is notable around this league? Let me look here. Draymond Green returning. That's not really interesting me. Let's go and look. So one of the things I like about March Madness is that really it's we're getting into that area where every game is really like it could make or break your season. So, and one of the fun things is going to be like when the tournament starts. I love that. That's my favorite time. If you like college basketball, which I like watching it, but try to find the time to watch all the games to keep up on all the teams is so tough because there are so many teams out there to keep up with. Which is why it's great when tournament time comes around, because then you can just kind of read up on how all the teams in the tournament have done over the year, and you can kind of roll with it. You kind of go like, all right. And I try to catch a few games of teams that I'm really interested in. This year, I'm going to be watching PC. The Friars are incredible this year. This is probably, if not it's their second best. It's at least their second best, if not their best season in school's history. They're ranked like 8th in the country or something like that. They won the Big East the other day. They're going to be in the tournament for the first time since like 1990 something 6 or something like that. So I am looking forward to see how they do. And the thing with the Providence Friars this year is that it's some ridiculous stat, like 20 games or 24 games or something like that have all really been very, very close games. And that is a benefit, because when you get into this tournament, there are a lot of games, especially when you make it really deep into the March Madness tournament, that are really, really close. Really close. So having to do that all season, when you get there in the tournament, is a good thing, because if you know how to like come from behind and keep the game close, and you're going up against a team, say, that hasn't done that all year, that they had like an easier schedule and they've just kind of rolled into the tournament, that could be the difference. Because sometimes, even though they're college players and they are getting to that level and that mentality and that ability to be able to kind of lock it down under pressure, they even get rattled sometime, though, because they're still really young. So sometimes players, even in college, will have a lot of trouble overcoming that pressure and being down. So Providence is good this year, So I think if you want to watch one team this year in the March Madness tournament, that's going to be the team to watch. The BC Eagles, they're another team that's been really impressive this year. What else? Let's see. What do they got coming up here? Penn State. Penn State's another one you may want to watch. They've had some success this year. What are we looking at here? in a funny story, the Texas has been voted ranked one of the best mascots by the fans. So, let me see. Where is Providence? Is currently ranked at 9th, right? So, look at that. The Zags, number 1, man. So I remember when I was a young man, much younger than what I am now, over 20 years ago, and it was one of the first times they made the tournament, and we were down. We were down in Tampa. One of my best friends in the entire world, him and now his wife and a couple of friends, his roommates and stuff. He had a sports talk radio show, and we did every Saturday. And he got us some press passes to go down there, and we were doing some recording for the radio show to bring back. And man, I can remember watching them. Purdue was another one. The Boilermakers, they were there, and we were over in down in Tampa. And boy, it was, it was crazy. Hey, Nicole, thank you. Who else is on this list? Let's see, who rounds out the top 10? So, Gonzaga's 1, Arizona 2, Baylor is 3rd. Wow, okay. Duke, Auburn, Kansas, Kentucky. Those are names that you expect, right? You expect Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, Auburn, even Purdue now. They have a really good basketball program going, so we expect them. 9, Providence. That's nice to see in there. And Wisconsin. Wisconsin rounding out the top 10. Surprisingly, Villanova fell out of that top 10 bracket this year. They're usually, pretty steady. Who else? Let's see. I'm just looking down the list. Ohio State's in, Iowa, Alabama, top 25. So some usual suspects up there in the top 10. It is nice to see a few other names. Zaga is they're incredible. For such a small school, man, they attract a lot of really good talent. And, that didn't really start to happen until the mid to late 90s. They had, I can't remember the coach that rolled in there for a while. And he kind of got a little bit of teeth and some feet under the program. And ever since then, they've just kind of rolled right along. I would not count them out really on any year. Watch Moorhead upset Louisville. Oh, at the Pepsi Center, really? That's very cool. Yeah, you know what? UNC isn't great this year, Pierce. They're not great. And that's too bad. And you know what? So, again, that's one of those teams where, for decades, you could have counted on them to always make the tournament. And now it's kind of like, you're kind of like, they're not really, they're just not there. They're not attracting the talent anymore. And some of that, some of the talent, when you look at college sports and even beyond basketball, hockey, baseball, what have you, football, some of it has to do with the amount of money that they can hand out now, and that's being thrown around. So kids are going where the colleges are giving them money. It is not unheard of for a D1 kid to drop down and drop out of D1 and go to like a D2 and get a full ride paid because, some of these kids are like, hey, listen, I need my education because, when I'm done playing sports. So you're starting to see more and more kids come in from like D2 or lower level D1 schools that really can play at a higher level D1. You're starting to see them come in through a lot of these drafts. The NFL, the NBA. It's starting to happen. Major League Baseball, it's happening. So, yeah, it makes a difference. It is hard to recruit with a new coach. Absolutely. Yeah, coach. Right? Happens a lot. So, I think, kids today are a lot smarter than kids were 30 and 40 years ago that had all this great talent, because there was a big drive back then to, you stay in the D1 school, you're going to make it big. And then all of a sudden, the kids, they have a lot of success in college, but they don't make it into professional sports. And now they're like, well, what am I doing? I'm in all this debt, whatever. And so it's funny to see how that has changed over the years. Let's see. What is going down in the NFL? Because there's been a little bit of shaking and moving. Nothing great. And I cannot believe, so I'm looking down my sports feed here, and I cannot believe that the Packers have not received a call about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I can believe it, but I can't. So he's a great talent. I think the dude's bat crap crazy at this point. I think he's starting to lose some marbles. Maybe he's taking one too many hits to the head, but obviously some of what he has said and the way he's carried himself in the last season or so here has probably made this come true. But it's unreal that Rodgers has had no calls about him, because we know he either wants what he wants on the Packers or he wants out. And I think that's been made clear, even though he hasn't said it in that many words. Denver has for sure called. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can't believe that. Money. That's it. Show me the money. So I thought, and I heard something. So this is an interesting headline. I've just pulled up Yahoo Sports. This is an interesting headline only because I heard it today being talked about on the local radio station out here out of Boston. Is that and this could really happen. The Patriots could possibly trade for Calvin Ridley. That is a very, very potentially good thing, big thing that could happen. And only because, right? So the great debate they were having, they said, if you're a team like the Patriots, even like the Bengals are almost in a better position and better but similar position, right? Is, do you give up one really good player to get, or like a stud player to get in 2 or 3 really, really good solid pieces to put around people? So people have tossed around this all week, like Jarvis Landry, from the Cleveland Browns, Brandon Cooks, who out in the Texans, his days are numbered. Andy Isabella from the Cardinals. I'm like, Calvin Ridley, though. So, Calvin Ridley's interesting. Some of those guys are a little older. Landry had a terrible year. Brandon Cooks is older. Isabella, he was a second rounder in 2019. I don't really know if, I don't know. But Calvin Ridley could be interesting because he's getting older. Like, he's starting to get into that end of career phase. He's 27, but he caught 26 touchdown passes since 2018. So I would right now, if you told me you're going to offer J.C. Jackson, who's a defensive back, a huge contract, or you could trade J.C. Jackson for Calvin Ridley and a couple of other picks, or maybe a couple of other players. I would say you take the couple of players with like a Calvin Ridley type player now and trade away your J.C. Jackson, because coming out of the draft, you're going to have good receivers. Not as good as last year's draft, but they'll be good. But unproven, they need to get their feet under them. Guys like Ridley can help attract other players. You're going to be able to pick up probably some really decent, talented players for short money. Like Godwin out of Tampa. Had a knee injury, didn't play much, contract's up. You can probably get him on short money. There's a lot you could do by trading away just that one player on your team that has had a great year that you know is going to have a really good future. And I think you're going to see teams like the Patriots, like Cincinnati. You're going to see them do this. Ridley could very well end up in LA, which would be interesting because they are already stacked. Let me scroll back through the chat here. Oh, Max, your favorite sport is soccer. That's cool. It would cost what? 2 firsts? Yeah, Pierce, I would assume it would cost 2 firsts for that. Wife's a Broncos fan, she doesn't want him. Pierce, I would agree. I have no vested interest yet in the new QB or O-line coach. I don't think they're great, but coach says he screwed me all year. Oh, really, Pierce? You've had experience, huh? That could happen, Pierce. And he's gonna, he's that knee injury and him not having really huge numbers this year will play to a fact that he will earn. He's gonna make money, but not as much money as he could. I think potentially earn, because I think he's got a little left in the tank. Joe Judge, yep. Max Trisha. Yeah, we know them well. I don't know. So the whole Joe Judge thing, man, like, that guy went and bombed hard. Now, granted, I don't know who was buying the groceries, so to speak, and if you're all old enough to remember that, right? You want me to cook the dinner, you gotta let me buy the groceries. I don't know who's buying groceries for him out there to make his dinner, but I think it was a combination of things. It was definitely, to a degree, a lack of enough talent to make things happen. But man, like, just his coaching, his play calling, what he was doing, I don't know. And then you bring him back here. I was like, there was got to be some college guy looking to bump up to the professional, NFL, that's got to be better than him. And I think you're going to see them keep Patricia. He's the O-line coach, but I really think that you're going to see him. They're going to kind of keep him out of the frame for a large part of it. I think he's just kind of a placeholder who's there. Patricia is actually really good at, like, breaking down film and running numbers, which they've been having him do for like the last year. So I can only imagine they want him to go back to that role, because that was part of the success that they had this year, was being able to get through all that information, which he was really good at. The dude's like super smart when it comes to like book work. Oh, you're happy Galladay left. Yeah, Galladay's problem was the team. Galladay's a great player. He just needs to be on the right team. It just ain't the right team for him, you know? Patricia and Good don't go in the same sentence. Yeah, he's really, really smart. Really, really, really smart. What else is coming out of the NFL? Let's see. The Combine is coming up. So, interestingly enough, they have an article here saying the Jets have plenty of cap space to spend big in free agency, but don't be surprised if they take a different approach. I would be shocked if they spent money at all, period, whether it's big money or not. The Jets are terrible, and it's because they don't spend the money in the right place. They spend all this foolish money on stupid stuff. So, ruined your franchise. And then, of course, the last area that we'll cover, which there's nothing to cover at all, is Major League Baseball. You can't. There's nothing really to talk about at this point because they're locked out. So, if you have not heard, Major League Baseball has locked out yet again. It feels like we are on the precipice of this, like literally every season, every other season. I mean, all this is this comes down to a bunch of millionaires and a bunch of billionaires who just want more money, and it's a big boo-hoo-hoo session, you know, because everybody just wants more money, nobody wants to give it up. Now, you know, I've heard the claim the last few days between the news and the radio and stuff saying that the lockout, you know, the really big guys that are making a lot of money are watching out for the little guys. That is such a farce. And if you believe that, then I don't know what to tell you, because that is not what's going to happen. The guy down at AAA is not going to benefit from this lockout. It's not like, you know, they're going to come out of this and the guy playing AAA ball is not going to be making $300,000 a year. It's not going to happen. So most minor leaguers have begun their spring training workout already. The minor league guys start way before, and most of the minor league guys really aren't making much for money. So let's see here. So right now, nobody really has any idea when baseball's really going to be coming back, you know, back into the fray of things. Right now, they're in a lockout. It doesn't seem like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, one of the big things that the players wanted to see was they wanted to see that the luxury thresholds were increased and the penalties for exceeding them. So one of the things they said was they wanted to pay the younger players who are not eligible for arbitration. So in Major League, you're not eligible for arbitration for, I think it's three or 5 years. So I'm like, all right, well, that's kind of cool. You pay them a little bit more because they're not eligible to fight for their own contracts. You know, if they think that they've hit milestones during the year and eligible for money. The luxury tax thing I can almost get on board with to a certain degree, because if they increase the luxury tax threshold, that means they can spend more money to pay more players. And that's great. And some teams do go over it and they don't have a problem paying the penalty for going over it. The thing becomes is right, Ian, right. So the thing becomes is if they increase that threshold, where do you think that money's going to go? It's not going to go to those young players. It's going to go to your Mookie Betts, right? And instead of making $300 million for 10 years, now he's going to make $330 million for 10 years because he knows, right? All these guys will know that the threshold is higher. So they're just going to ask for more money. So the little guys still don't make any more money. So I don't know if that's really the way to go. I think, that these guys ought to just, in my opinion, shut up, suck it up, and get back to playing ball. I mean, you all are making, most guys are making, let's face it, really good money for playing baseball year-round. When they're not playing baseball, they're taking time off, of course, like everybody does from their job, but, they're working out. They're staying in shape. And they're, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So, Major League Baseball did cancel some games already. So, the season got pushed back a week. And the 162-game season has been stretched into the first week of October. So, so what this means is that if they don't come to terms quickly, the next step is going to be, is that they're going to start cutting more games, right? So, by cutting more games, if you start cutting games, the players aren't going to want to agree to anything. So, I can't see that being a good pathway. All right, Ian. Hey, thanks for stopping in, man. Appreciate it. Have a great night. So I can't imagine that, Major League Baseball is going to want to do that anymore. They've already cut down from 186, right? They cut out like 24 days. 24 days in the regular season already. So, I mean, they're cutting out how much money per day? I mean, they're saying, Mike Trout, $190,000 a day for Mike Trout, and it's $3,300 a day for those making the league minimum of $630,000. So the league minimum is $630,000. So, I don't know. I can't... Man, it's bad juju. They all just need to, like I said, suck it up and say, this is the way it's going to be. Continue on with what you had and come up with some other stuff and try to get back to it, because if you like baseball right now, it is not looking good. Not looking good at all. Not even a little. Anyways, with that being said, we're gonna wrap it up. We're just shy of an hour. This will go about an hour on Wednesdays, give or take. It may go a little bit longer as we get into like March Madness, or if the playoffs come around for basketball or baseball. So for right now, we'll wrap it up. We'll be back tomorrow. So make sure you're watching out for tomorrow. We're going to get ourselves a little Tin Can Thursday in. And we're going to get back to that. And then this weekend, what is looking like Saturday will be my first day of streaming my new diet, exercise, weight loss plan. And this, this journey I've started. So that will be a live stream, just as like an update, kind of, like I said, it's going to tell you where I've been, what I've done, how I got to where I am, and what we're going to do going forward. So, but that's about it. So I thank everybody for being here. Thanks for coming out to our Whacked Out Wednesday Sports. And we will see you guys tomorrow. I'll probably be on, right around the 6:30 time. Be on for about an hour or so, hour and a half. 6:30, 7 o'clock, somewhere in there. I'm probably going to schedule it for 6:30. So I should be right around there. And I'll probably use Streamlabs for all you gamblers because the casino should be open. So, all right. So, yeah. Oh, CeeLo's just getting in. CeeLo, I tried to catch your Instagram thing, but I couldn't get it to work. I'm going to go see if I can rewatch it, though. All right, y'all. Thanks for being here. We'll see you all tomorrow for our Tin Can Thursday. Awesome. We'll see y'all later. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for being here. Make sure you hit that like button. Appreciate y'all.